Hello and welcome to another video. So today I am gonna tell you a story about Alice. So let's begin. So once upon a time there were two sisters named Alice and Darwin. And so one day as Darwin was reading a book about something, Alice always picked over and tried to read something from that book, but she never got interested in that book because there was no pictures or any conversation, and she always thought that what is a book without any conversation or any pictures. So she got bored and started to look around, and as she looked around everywhere, she tried to find some daisies to make some daisy chains for herself and her sister. But she quickly lost interest in that, and she was again sitting down in a plain area, and it looked beautiful in her eyes. The scenery was mesmerizing, but suddenly she saw a rabbit. It ran beside her. Then she suddenly thought that nothing special, but then she suddenly remembered that rabbits don't wear a coat, and also they don't have a watch, and they also don't wear glasses. So Alice started to look for the rabbit, and she saw that the rabbit had already ran away towards a hole, a giant hole, and so she decided to run towards that rabbit as fast as she could. And as she ran towards the rabbit also ran faster, didn't realizing that she was beside him. But the rabbit ran faster because it always looked at the clock or the pocket clock in his coat, and said to himself that he is getting late, very late. So as he said that, he jumped into a rabbit hole, and as he jumped into the rabbit hole, Alice saw the rabbit jump into the rabbit hole, and Alice did not think twice, but she also jumped into that rabbit hole. And as she jumped into that rabbit hole, she was falling down, and she was falling down for a long time, almost like 3 minutes. She was falling down straight for 3 minutes. She thought that this fall will never end, but she was wrong. Alas, the fall ended, but in middle of the fall, she saw many books. There were some books, there were some books, there were some books. She also saw many jars, bottles filled with something, but she didn't quite read them. So as she was falling, she also saw many portraits of many kings and queens and many other people. She always looked around everywhere like a blind person, but she could not find anything interesting to pick out from that fall. But suddenly she landed on a soft pile of dried leaves, and as she landed on that, it comforted her fall. And as it comforted her fall, she was very delighted to see that she wasn't hurt. But she also saw the rabbit getting away, so she started running. And as she ran towards that rabbit, she saw that the rabbit went through a very little door that she couldn't even imagine that an animal can go through. It was even smaller than a rat hole. So she decided to find a bigger key for a bigger door, and as she was looking for that key, she looked around everywhere, but she could not find any key. So she thought that if she could shrink, it would be very helpful. Suddenly a bottle full of mysterious juice spawned in front of her, and there was a label that said that drink me. And as the bottle said the label, Alice was very suspicious, but she still drank it. And as she drank it, she thought that what if it is poison, but she did not get poisoned. Instead, she started shrinking, and as she started shrinking, she shrank very fast, and then she went to that little door. But she was very scared of going to the little door because there were many creatures and animals. She got very lost very quickly, but she could not go back because she lost the key to the door, and the door got locked suddenly by the wind. So this is the end of our story currently, and so tomorrow we will continue this story. So tata and goodbye, see you tomorrow again.